Imagine being born into a world where your name means nothing, your family owns nothing, and your future is already decided before you take your first breath. Oh, imagine that. One day, this same world bows to you, not because you were chosen by fate, but because you were ruthless enough to take it. This is not a fairy tale. This is the true story of how a tiny group of desperate people built the greatest empire the ancient world had ever seen. This is the rise of Rome. Before Rome was powerful, before it had armies, roads, or golden palaces, it was nothing more than a struggling settlement on the edge of survival. No one feared it, no one respected it, and no one believed it would last. If you think empires are born strong, you're wrong. Rome was born weak. People lived in mud huts, surrounded by enemies, trapped between hills, swamps, and constant danger. Every day they woke up unsure if they would still be alive by sunset. Their crops were stolen, their women were threatened, their children were taken, their land was never truly safe. But something inside these people was different. They refused to accept weakness as their destiny. Before we go deeper into this story, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Echoes of Times. If stories of lost empires, forgotten battles, and the rise of ancient powers fascinate you, you're in the right place. Your support helps these stories stay alive. Now, let's go back to where it all began. Rome did not rise because it was lucky. It rose because it was desperate. Surrounded by powerful neighbors like the Etruscans and Greek colonies, early Rome was constantly under threat. They were not the smartest, they were not the richest, they were not the most cultured. But they had one thing that mattered more than anything else. They learned fast. When Rome lost a battle, they didn't cry. They studied it. When Rome was defeated, they didn't quit. They adapted. If an enemy had better weapons, Rome copied them. If an enemy had better tactics, Rome learned them. If an enemy had stronger walls, Rome built stronger ones. Rome did not believe in pride. It believed in survival, and survival required discipline. From a young age, Roman boys were taught that their lives did not belong to them. They belonged to Rome. They trained their bodies, hardened their minds, and accepted pain as a teacher. Comfort was weakness. Fear was shame. Loyalty was everything. A Roman soldier did not fight for glory. He fought because disobedience meant death, and that made Rome terrifying. While other armies fought as individuals, Rome fought as a single machine. Their legions moved like one body, one will, one mind. Shields locked, spears forward, no hesitation. And slowly, village by village, Rome expanded, not with mercy, but with method. They didn't just conquer land, they absorbed it. When Rome defeated a city, it did not always burn it. Sometimes it offered a choice: fight and be destroyed, or surrender and become Roman. Many chose to become Roman. This was Rome's greatest secret. They didn't only rule with swords, they ruled with identity. They gave conquered people roads, protection, trade, and law. And in return, they demanded loyalty, taxes, and sons for their armies. Over time, people stopped saying, "I was conquered by Rome." They started saying, "I am Rome." This is how a village became a republic, how a republic began to hunger for empire. But power always comes with a price. Inside Rome, the rich grew richer and the poor grew angrier. Senators lived in luxury while soldiers bled on distant battlefields. Farmers lost their land, workers lost hope, and whispers of rebellion filled the streets. Rome was not just fighting enemies outside its walls, it was fighting itself. Yet, somehow, it kept moving forward. Through betrayals, through assassinations, through civil wars. Men rose to power not because they were kind, but because they were strong. Generals became legends, soldiers became heroes. And the name Rome became a warning. If Rome wanted your land, you did not negotiate. You prepared for war, and war was what Rome understood best. They built roads not for travel, but for marching armies. They built cities not for beauty, but for control. They built laws not for fairness, but for order. Every stone they placed was a message: Rome is permanent. By the time most of the world realized what Rome was becoming, it was already too late. Its armies stretched across continents. Its gold flowed endlessly. Its banners flew where no Roman had ever dreamed of going. And yet, the people of Rome still remembered where they came from fear, from hunger, from weakness. That memory made them ruthless, because Rome never wanted to be weak again. not ever. And this hunger, this endless hunger for power, would shape the fate of millions. This was not just the rise of an empire, it was the rise of an idea that order is more important than freedom, that strength is more important than kindness, that survival justifies everything, and that idea would change the world forever. If this story already has you thinking, I want you to comment below. Do you believe Rome became powerful because of discipline or because of cruelty? Now let's continue, because Rome's true transformation was just beginning. Rome's true transformation began when it stopped seeing itself as a city and started seeing itself as destiny. Oh, every generation of Romans was raised on the same stories. Stories of ancestors who stood their ground when others ran. Stories of farmers who became warriors. Stories of men who chose death over surrender. These stories were not just entertainment, they were training. A Roman child did not dream of comfort. He dreamed of honor. He dreamed of standing in formation, shield locked, heart pounding, knowing that if he broke rank, the man beside him would die, and so would he. Rome taught its people that fear was normal, but obedience was sacred. As Rome expanded, it met enemies who were stronger, richer, and more advanced. But Rome had something they did not: a system. Where other armies depended on heroes, Rome depended on discipline. Where others followed kings, Rome followed law. Where others ruled by bloodline, Rome ruled by structure. Every man had a place. Every place had a duty. And slowly, relentlessly, Rome pushed outward. Villages fell. Cities surrendered. Kingdoms collapsed. But what made Rome truly dangerous was not how it fought. It was what it did after victory. Rome stayed. They built roads so their armies could return quickly. They built forts so resistance would never rise again. They built markets so trade would bind people to Roman systems. And they built laws so everyone knew who was in control. Rome did not just conquer land, it rewrote reality. A farmer in a distant province now lived by Roman time, Roman taxes, Roman rules, Roman expectations. His children learned Roman language. His sons joined Roman legions. His world slowly stopped being his. And yet many of them thanked Rome, because Rome brought order. In a world of chaos, order feels like safety. But safety always comes with chains. As Rome grew, so did its confidence. And confidence slowly turned into hunger. Generals returned from wars with loyal armies who followed them more than they followed the state. Senators grew richer through corruption. Politicians bought votes with promises they never intended to keep. The Republic, once built on shared power, began to rot from the inside. And Rome noticed. People whispered that the old system no longer worked, that Rome needed one strong leader, not many weak voices. That chaos was worse than tyranny. And in moments of fear, people always choose control. This is when legends were born. Men who were not just soldiers, but symbols. Men who didn't just command armies, but commanded belief. They walked through Rome like destiny had chosen them. Crowds followed, songs were written, statues were carved. And slowly, the Republic became a stage for ambition. Every powerful man believed he could save Rome. Every powerful man believed he deserved to rule it. And every powerful man was willing to destroy it to do so. Civil war was no longer a nightmare. It became inevitable. Brother fought brother, friend betrayed friend. Cities burned not because of foreign enemies, but because of Roman hands. And yet, through all this blood, Rome kept growing. Because Rome no longer belonged to its people belonged to Rome. The idea of Rome became stronger than any single life, stronger than any family, stronger than any truth. A Roman soldier could march for years away from home, away from love, away from safety, and still believe he was doing the right thing, not because he was paid, but because he believed. Belief is more powerful than any weapon, and Rome mastered belief. It told its people that they were chosen, that they were superior, the world needed them. That conquest was not cruelty, but destiny. When people believe they are destiny, they stop asking questions. This belief carried Roman legions across rivers they had never seen, into forests they had never entered, toward enemies they had never known. They fought in rain, in snow, in burning heat. They buried their friends. They wrote letters home they knew might never be answered. And they kept marching, because Rome demanded it. By now, the name Rome no longer meant a place. It meant power, it meant law, it meant fear. If a Roman banner appeared on your horizon, you knew your world was about to change forever. Some fought, some fled, some surrendered. But none escaped Rome's shadow. Inside the city, people gathered in massive arenas to watch death as entertainment. Gladiators fought not for freedom, but for survival. Crowds cheered as men bled because Rome had taught them that violence was normal. When violence becomes normal, cruelty becomes invisible. And Rome was becoming invisible to itself. It no longer remembered what it felt like to be weak. It only remembered how to dominate. But the higher something rises, the heavier it becomes. And Rome was becoming unbearably heavy. Its borders stretched too far. Its armies were exhausted. Its leaders were paranoid. Its people were divided. Yet from the outside, Rome looked eternal, invincible, unstoppable. This is the illusion of every great power, that it will last forever. Rome told the world it was eternal, and the world believed it. Even at its peak, Rome was not a city of marble and gold. It was a city of ambition, fear, and unrelenting hunger. Every stone in its streets, every column in its temples, every banner in its squares whispered the same message. Rome will not be weak again, and the people believed it. They had learned over centuries of struggle that survival required sacrifice, that order demanded obedience, and that destiny belonged to those bold enough to take it. As you imagine the streets of Rome, crowded with traitors, soldiers, and senators, remember this: the empire rose not because it was the strongest at the start, but because it refused to stop learning, refusing to surrender, and refusing to forget. Its victories were not just battles, they were lessons in strategy, in patience, in willpower. Its growth was not only territorial, it was psychological, shaping minds to accept the impossible as reality. This is the secret of Rome's power, not walls or armies, but belief. The belief of a people willing to endure anything, fight everything, and sacrifice everything to become legendary. And yet, behind the splendor, the victories, and the monuments, Rome was human. Its leaders were ambitious, sometimes ruthless, and often flawed. Its soldiers were brave, but mortal. Its citizens were proud, but fearful. Rome was a mirror of the human condition, our desire for greatness, our fear of weakness, our constant struggle between morality and ambition. And maybe that's why the story of Rome still fascinates us today. It is not just a story of conquest, it is a story of what people are capable of when they are driven by vision, survival, and unwavering belief. At this moment, as you hear these words, consider the lessons hidden in Rome's rise. How discipline, unity, and relentless determination can transform even the smallest, weakest beginnings into something immortal. How stories, culture, and identity can bind people together more tightly than fear or force alone. And how every empire, no matter how mighty, is still shaped by the choices of individuals, by the courage of a few, the ambition of many, and the willingness of everyone to believe. If you've enjoyed this journey through the birth of the Roman Empire, take a moment to comment below. Share your thoughts. Were Rome's achievements inspiring, terrifying, or a bit of both? Your opinion matters. We love seeing your perspective on Echoes of Times. And if this story made you feel awe, shock, or curiosity, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who loves history, strategy, or tales of human ambition. Because the power of Rome is not just in the past, it lives on when stories are told and remembered. Remember, empires rise and empires fall. But the echoes of their stories never fade. They teach us about power, about humanity, and about the extraordinary capacity of people to change the world. And that is the gift of history, the reason we remember, and the reason channels like Echoes of Times exist, to bring these lessons to life for all of us today. So like this video, subscribe to Echoes of Times, comment your thoughts, and share this story far and wide. Because the tale of Rome is more than a history lesson. It is a reminder that ordinary people, driven by vision and courage, can build something that lasts long after they are gone. And if you carry that lesson with you, you are already part of the story.